Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally waited the first release of the Minecraft update version 1.21.4, known as the Garden Awakens. This update brought us a number of exciting new features such as a new Pale Garden biome, unusual blocks, a new mob and a lot of small but interesting details. Today I'm going to tell you about everything that has been added in this update. So take a seat, put thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. First on our list is the Creaking Heart block. This block is real mystery because it's basically alive. This block can be found in a pale oak trees, or you can craft it yourself using 2 pale oak logs and a resin block. But the most important thing is its unique mechanics. If you place this block between 2 pale oak logs or its subspecies, it will be activated, change its texture to the bright orange and start making ominous sounds. And at night or during the thunderstorm, Creaking Heart can summon the creaking mob. The special feature of creaking is that it doesn't move when you look at it and can only be killed by destroying the Creaking Heart associated with it. If you try to attack Creaking, Resin Clumps will start to appear next to active Creaking Heart. Be careful, you can't just destroy this block. You'll need a tool with a Silk Touch enchantment to mine it, otherwise 1 to 3 Resin Clumps will drop from it, and with the Fortune enchantments the number of drops can increase. I should also add that a naturally generated Creaking Heart will drop from 20 to 24 experience units after being destroyed. It's also worth mentioning that Creaking Heart can be used in mechanisms with Redstone. If you connect a comparator to it, it will produce a signal depending on the distance to the connected creaking. So this block is not only interesting in itself, but also opens up new possibilities for creating tricky traps and mechanisms. Next in line is one of the most unusual and mysterious elements of this update, a new unique flower called Eyeblossom. This flower looks really unusual. It looks like an eye surrounded by petals and can change its state depending on the time of the day. During the day it's closed, and at night it blooms, emitting a faint glow. I will point out that it's not real. It doesn't give levels of lightning. This glow is similar to the glow of an enderman eyes or a glowing squid. It's fluorescent and only pretends to glow, which of course is most unfortunate. This flower can only be found in the Pale Garden, but it can be placed anywhere. When night or day falls, one flower either closes or opens and, shall we say, calls or infects the other flowers. They follow its example. This can be useful for survival as well as for decorative purposes. Imagine a garden lit up with these mysterious flowers. One more advantage would be that you can get 2 dyes from this flower at once. The closed flower gives a gray dye and the open flower gives an orange dye. Eyeblossom can be mined with any tools and will be saved as a block, which makes it very convenient for decoration. It will drop the same flower when it's closed, but when it's open, it will drop an open flower. Eyeblossom can also be used to create a suspicious stew, giving it unique properties. Closed flower will give the effect of nausea and open blindness. However, it is worth remembering that bees will avoid Eyeblossom as contact with it is deadly to them. It poisons them. This makes the Pale Garden even more creepy and I could say cursed. Now let's move on to another interesting new block from the Pale Garden biome, Hanging Pale Moss. This is a decorative block that grows under the branches of the pale oak tree or on other surface, creating a nice, thickened atmosphere. This moss can be found naturally in this biome, but it can also be grown yourself by using bone meal on existing blocks of pale oak. Hanging Pale Moss can only be harvested with shears, otherwise it will simply be destroyed. It can also be purchased from the wandering trader who sells this block for emeralds, giving you another way to get it if you don't want to search for moss in the creepy biome. Hanging Pale Moss can also be used as a component to create bone meal in the composter. Each block of moss has a chance to increase the level of the composter by 1 unit. Now let's deal with the regular pale moss. This block is an important part of the Pale Garden and serves several functions. Visually, it is a soft, light green moss that adds a sense of oldness and mystery to the environment. These blocks can be mined with any tool, but a hoe is recommended for the faster mining. It can also be used in a composter. If you use bone meal in a block of moss, it will cause the moss to spread to a neighboring block, much like regular moss. Pale moss can also be purchased from the wandering trader, so in essence you don't even have to search for the new biome, which is extremely strange. It is worth mentioning that it can be used to create pale moss carpets. From 2 blocks you can get 3 units. The pale moss carpet also, let's just say, it has unique mechanics. If you use bone meal on it, it can grow vertically in the neighboring block with a maximum height of 2 blocks. Pale oak log is the main building material that can be mined from the new tree. It has a unique light gray texture, which differs from the usual oak with cooler shades. Pale oak, or rather its planks, can be used to create various elements such as stairs, fences, buttons, doors, gates, pressure plates, signs, slabs and trapdoors, and of course stripped block and stripped wood. Don't forget about regular and boats with chest. Now let's talk about pale oak sapling. This sapling is of course dropped from the leaves of the pale oak tree. It can be planted in any type of soil and will eventually grow into a new pale oak tree. To speed up its growth, bone meal can be used. Like other saplings, you have the option of planting it in flower pot. It looks pretty. By the way, you can also buy it from the wandering trader. We can now move on to Resin Clump. This block is generated as a result of dealing damage to Creaking. The resin appears near the Creaking Heart on the pale oak trees. After attacking Creaking, 2 to 3 resin clumps may appear on neighbor pale oak blocks, and it only appears on pale oak blocks. There is a cooldown of 5 seconds between resin appearances. Resin clumps are a renewable resource and can be collected instantly with any tool, even a simple hand. If you destroy a Creaking Heart block without the Silk Touch enchantment, it can drop 1 to 3 resin clumps. But with the Fortune enchantment, the number of dropped resources increases, up to 6 with the level 3rd of Fortune enchantment. Resin clumps can also be found in Woodland mansion chests, where the chances of finding them is about 44.5% for Java edition and 6.1% for Bedrock edition. Resin clump can be used to create decorative blocks, such as a resin block, or melt them down into resin bricks. Resin blocks are great for creating decorative elements, and resin bricks can be used in a variety of building projects. There are 4 types in total: a chisel block, it depicts Creaking's face, a slab, a wall, and of course stairs. All these blocks can be created either by using a workbench or using by stone cutter. In addition, multiple resin clumps can be placed on a single block, covering different sides of it, for example to decorate the side or bottom. I would also add that resin clumps is a fully waterlogged block, so it can be placed underwater without any problems, decorating various water structures with it. I will also point out that in Minecraft, let's say in the same year, was also already added resin. On the first April snapshot, or rather in the Poisonous Potato update, appeared such an item as toxic resin. It could be obtained in several ways: after destroying the resin ore, after killing the toxifin slab, or by smelting toxic potato oil. It could be used to obtain an amber gem. Now I wonder what else will appear in the full game from the next or last April snapshots. You can write in the comments. Of course, the main highlight of the program, or rather this drop, is Creaking, a completely new mob with a unique for Minecraft mechanics. But let's start with his characteristics. He has an infinite number of lives and only half a heart at a time. The fact is that from the technical point of view, in the game there are 2 Creakings. The first one is the one that Creaking Heart summons and acts as a puppet. He, just roughly speaking, has infinite health. The second one, which we will summon with a command or a summoning egg. He will behave the same way as the first, but the number of his lives is equal to 1 unit, only half a heart. In addition, he will not disappear during the day like the first one. Of course, this is a hostile mob, and despite the fact that he's summoned by the block, he can only appear at night or during a thunderstorm. Creaking Heart is activated at night. As soon as it's daytime, it stops working, and Creaking simply shatters into particles. Creaking's attack power on easy and normal levels is between 2 and 3 units. On hard, it's 3 to 4. That is, it can be do a maximum of 2 hearts of damage. Creaking spawning is a rather interesting mechanic. The thing is that at night or during the thunderstorm, Creaking Heart activates and summons a mob within a radius of 16 blocks horizontally and 8 blocks vertically, without light sources affecting its spawn. Thus, Creaking is connected to these blocks directly. After that, the activated Creaking Heart can be deactivated. That is, by breaking the pale oak blocks near it, it will continue to work. Only complete destruction of these blocks will help. In addition, if you take Creaking further than 32 blocks away from its heart, it will shatter and be respawned near Creaking Heart again. Since Creaking cannot be technically killed, it is clear that neither experience nor drops he will not give the player. All questions to Creaking Heart. It is responsible for experience. The behavior of this mob is, shall we say, quite ordinary. As soon as he's summoned, he will just stand somewhere within a radius of Creaking Heart. This is a peace mode. In it, his eyes will glow dimly, and sometimes he will be able to walk around aimlessly. The funny thing is that Creaking only become aggressive if they come into the player's field of view, not the other way around. That is, if the player walks through the pale forest and doesn't see Creaking due to its conditional camouflage, but it comes into the player field of vision, it will start chasing the player. It is necessary to be watchful. When Creaking activates and goes into attack mode, a typical sound can be heard, and his eyes will start to glow brightly orange. It will try its best to get closer to the player to deal damage, but only when it is out of the player's field of view. If the player looks at it, it will simply freeze and become a completely static mob. It's funny that with a carved pumpkin on head, we can look at Enderman without any problems, but with Creaking it will be exactly the opposite. He will attack such a player and move around even if the player is looking at him. Creaking, like a warden, has a lot of invulnerabilities. He doesn't burn in the lava or fire, he doesn't draw in water, other mobs hits and explosions don't damage damage him. Cactus, sweetberry bushes, and powdered snow do not pose any threat to him. Infestation, oozing, vine charges, and weaving will not affect him. However, players can still move Creaking by pouring water or lava, which will push him off the block he is standing on with its flow. Villagers, evokers, Vindigators, and Ravagers will try to escape from Creaking if they are within 8 blocks of him. What's also funny is that if we give a Vindicator a Johnny tag, he'll try to hit Creaking while also trying to run away from him. Like I said, hitting Creaking doesn't damage him. However, this will help players to detect the Creaking Heart that summoned him. The orange particle track will indicate the Creaking Heart block that needs to be destroyed to destroy Creaking. If you do that, Creaking will first display a shaking animation, and then, as from Thanos' flick, it will simply crumble into small particles. It is impossible not to mention the Garden that Awakens. The Pale Garden is a new biome, and a subspecies of the Dark Forest to be exact, since it's basically just a reskin of it. It's not surprising, as it's still the same Dark Forest, which is enslaved by some strange infection. But this is a topic for various hypotheses and theories. In this biome you can find a new tree, the Pale Oak, as well as pale moss, a carpet of pale moss, hanging pale moss, and Eyeblossom. There is of course a Creaking Heart hiding in some of the pale oaks. One of the features of this biome is silence. Yes, in this biome will not play music, even if you turn it on, and as soon as you enter this biome while playing such, it will immediately fade out. At the moment, this is a second such biome. The first was Warped Forest in Nether. Music will continue to play immediately after the player leaves the Pale Garden. In it, instead of music, you will hear creepy ambient sounds, which just make hanging pale moss. Yes, the sounds will be played in other biomes as well, you don't have to worry. In addition to Creaking, you can find a creeper, a skeleton, slime, if there will be slime chunks, a spider, an enderman, a witch, and a zombie villager. You've probably already noticed this, but this biome also has unique fallen leaf particles. A similar thing was already added in a cherry grove biome, but there it creates a very different atmosphere. Here it's quite creepy and at times not very pleasant, considering that even in the daytime the sky here is pale and as if there were not enough colors. Now let's move on to the changes that appeared in this version. The first thing they did was to slightly rework the physics of the experience spheres. Now, if they fall from a great height after hitting the ground, they will bounce away from it. That is, they added bouncy. Mobs have been redesigned the system of picking up tools, armor and weapons from the ground. Now they will prefer first the best item in terms of material from which it's created as well as its enchanted version, and only then the weakest and with the low level of durability, but a custom item with a unique name will always be prioritized. However, there are also the preferred weapons of the mobs, such as drones use tridents, pillagers and piglins use crossbows, and skeletons stray and bogged bow. They will also pick them up first regardless of durability and enchantments. Cat and wolves caps will now choose their color based on the color of their parent's color. The first parent to whom food has been given will be preferred. Leashed bees will no longer fly into the hive or nests. Witheros will now withering out bees instead of breeding. After destroying the ender chest with the wrong tool, it will now drop obsidian. Previously it would just simply be destroyed. Bell, lanterns, copper and iron doors, pressure plates and brewing stands will now drop as an item even if destroyed by hand. Yes, the update, meaning the drop, was small, but it also came out pretty quickly. I'm already curious to see what the developers have in store for the next time. They are going on a very long break for now. New snapshots, I think we shouldn't wait, except for new minor versions, because there will be bugs that will have to be fixed urgently. Most likely the theme of the new drop or even the whole update we will hear at the next Minecraft Live, somewhere in the spring. If I forgot anything about update, feel free to write about it in the comments. While you are waiting for the new video, you can watch this. They are also very interesting. Subscribe to this channel, with thumbs up and click on the bell. We'll hear more because we continue to open Minecraft in a new way.